Greetings, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. A few days ago, a comic strip showed up on my timeline, and then the next day it showed up again, and then the day after that it showed up again, and then again. And maybe I spend too much time on Twitter. I definitely spend too much time on Twitter, but things don't typically show up on my timeline that often without me then deciding I need to make a video about it. So today I am here to talk about some conservative comics because that is always a good time because there are so many conservative right-wing comic artists. A lot of them identify as centrist, but they are absolutely not at all centrist. And they just make some weird art and a lot of it just makes no sense. And I have a fun time looking at it. You all seem to enjoy talking about it as well. So today we're going to be looking at some conservative comics. But before we get into it, I would like to tell you about today's sponsor, Geologie. Geologie is a 36-time award-winning skin, hair, and body care brand, and they make skincare just incredibly easy. I have been working with Geologie for the past, I think, 2.5 years, and I am absolutely obsessed with them. No skincare routine has helped my skin as much as this did. Before I started using Geologie, I was breaking out like really bad. I was in a lot of discomfort and a lot of pain, and I found most like cleansers and things I was using were making it worse. Even ones that were for sensitive skin specifically were causing so much irritation. But then I started using Geologie and it genuinely made so much difference. My skin cleared up so nicely. How it works is you go onto their website and you take a little skin survey and it finds the skincare routine that is going to work best for you. And then you get a box with all of the things that you need. It includes 2 cleansers that you use morning and night, a moisturizer for the morning, which includes an SPF, which is very important, an eye cream to help dark circles under your eyes, which is great because if you're like me, sleep is not something that exists in your world. And my favorite part of the entire kit is this retinol night cream. It's so velvety and smooth, and like no moisturizer has ever felt so nice going on my skin. I genuinely am obsessed with it. It's my favorite thing in the entire world, and I rant and rave about it constantly to my friends and family. They also do a bunch of extra stuff like shampoos and conditioners, as well as body wash and some extra skincare products that you can add as well. My favorite being this vitamin C and E serum. It feels so nice on my skin and it genuinely makes like such a difference to my skincare, and I'm so glad that I introduced it into my daily skincare routine. And if you want to try Geologie out for yourself, which I cannot recommend enough, then you can use my link in the description or scan the QR code up on the screen right now using the code Kiwi70 and you will get 70% off Geologie's award-winning skincare trial kit, as well as an additional 50% off any extra product that you would like. It is such an incredible deal. It is so worth it. Please do go check them out. A massive thank you to Geologie for sponsoring this video. Please don't forget to use that link. It really helps me out as well as helping you out as well. With all of that being said, let's get into the video. We're gonna start off with the comic strip that came up on my timeline because that feels like a good place to start. Basically, it is homophobia because of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? And it is a cylinder and a circle hole because that's all we are. And then it's showing that they're in love and they're standing back and watching this mayhem unfold before them, which is 2 cylinders smacking against each other, 2 circle holes trying to fit into each other, but they can't because the circle holes are square shaped. A cylinder being held and a tool going in to cut the circle out of it. So like the cylinders are solid and there's a tool coming in to like carve it and turn it into a circle hole. There's a circle hole that's being like sawed up. And then just because, you know, we have to also throw in a little bit of like racism here, we have a small circle hole and a very large dark brown cylinder, and it obviously doesn't fit. And the circle hole and the cylinder are huddled together, very scared. as all of the others are like crowding around them. What I'm getting from this is that Stone Toss doesn't understand that sex exists outside of penetration. And that's really sad. It's very unsurprising, but really sad, because if the only thing you know about sex and sexual pleasure is penetration, your sex life is sad and boring. I just find it so funny as well that like these are the people who sit here and tell us queer people that we are sexualizing everything, that we make everything about sex, and how dare we do it. It's disgusting to just exist as a gay person in front of children, because that obviously means we're making everything about sex. And yet they're the ones who make content like this. They are boiling us down to nothing but our parts and how they fit together. We didn't make this about sex. You did. And if us existing as queer people is inherently sexual, and yet you're making art saying that heterosexuality is the only thing that's acceptable because of our genitals, then aren't you the ones then making heterosexuality sexual? I also just love the depictions of sex and obviously transness in this, because none of this is accurate nor makes any sense at all. Again, penetration is not the only form of sex, and also 2 cylinders are having sex. They're having penetrative sex as well, just in a different way. And I like that you avoided that sort of conversation in here. Like, they have circle holes too. And then 2 circle holes, you can get a synthetic cylinder. You know, like the sky's the limit. If you only know how to have sex one way, that is on you. And we're going to now look at another Stone Toss comic, because he's got a few. 93% of protests have been peaceful. And then a redneck with a gun comes in and says, over 99% of gun owners are peaceful. And the protester is pointing at him and going, police? Gun supporters are truly just another level of stupid and ignorant. Like, how many people do protests kill annually? And then how many people do guns kill annually? And how many of the deaths at protest are caused by guns? I don't understand how you can compare these things at all. And it's so wild to me because, like, sure, some protests lead to property damage, but me personally, I don't value property above human lives. And I know a lot of these gun nuts do. They think that if someone is damaging their property, they deserve to be shot, which is the most terrifying thing I've ever heard, and I do not understand how you can think like that at all. But like, protests aren't killing people, and most protests are peaceful. You have like riots after sports games that end so much more violently with so much more property damage than you do in most protests, and yet you're not out here talking about that. Protests are meant to be disruptive. They are meant to make a statement, and the purpose of them is for the greater good. It is standing up for something and trying to have your voices heard in order to make a change. They are disruptive, and maybe like property damage and things take place, but that is to get a message across. It is to show how serious you are about the issue. And ultimately, the purpose of a protest is for a greater good and to make positive change. The purpose of a gun is to kill. That is its singular purpose. The only purpose it has is to kill, not just to cause harm. It is literally designed to kill animals, people, whatever. That is their one purpose. Why do you have a gun if you don't intend to use it to cause harm? You have it for self-defense, sure. Who are you defending yourself against? Other people with guns? Because if you just got rid of them in the first place, you wouldn't need to defend yourself against someone who has one, because they also wouldn't have one. In places that have like strict gun laws, like sure, there are a few outliers who have guns, or there are people who have like hunting licenses who have them, but the number of people who have them is very, very few. And so the number of people who are in danger of being shot with one is incredibly low. I've never considered having a gun for self-defense purposes because I've never considered a situation in which I would be confronted by someone who is armed. I don't know the laws here in the UK about like police officers and whatever. I haven't really looked into it, but back in New Zealand, even police officers do not carry guns. They have them for like specific cases and like when they're going into situations where other people are armed. But in general, they don't have guns. That's not a thing that they have. So here we have the devil on TV. And this old man is saying, they're marketing Satan to kids. And his child is saying, you're overreacting, Dad. And then you have Donald Trump on the TV with an American flag and an Israeli flag behind him. And the kid screams, white supremacy! And obviously the purpose of this is we're trying to say it's hypocritical. If we're saying that Donald Trump on TV is promoting white supremacy, then we have to also be saying that the devil on screen is promoting Satanism, I suppose. And I just truly do not understand how people are comparing these things. Like, the complete level of just like pure stupidity and willful ignorance is pretty astounding, because there is one major difference in this, and that is that Satan is fictional and Donald Trump is real. And even if you want to believe in Satan, like even if you believe in that and you are Christian and you believe in the devil or whatever, like that, fine. However, in the context of him being on TV, that is fictional. That's not real. A lot of the time when the devil is like on TV or in the media, he's not being promoted as like the good guy whose morals you should be following in the first place. I feel like we can understand that it's all fictional, you know? Whereas with like Donald Trump being on TV, that is a very real man who holds very real power. He is in charge of like making laws. He is a real person who is influencing real lives. That's kind of the big difference here, is that he is real and he is in a real position of power, and he is actively trying to get through to people and change their opinions on politics. So here we move into a different artist who is G Prime 85, and their art is like a very interesting art style. It's really different to the simplistic style that Stone Toss has. It's very bright and colorful and kind of low-key, a bit terrifying. And this one is these friends who are like laughing together, and this girl is like shooting herself in the head with a water gun. And she posted it online, and it says, your post has been removed for violating guidelines against depictions of self-harm. You may lose access to your account in the future. And then underneath you have someone who has had top surgery, and they're posting their like surgical scars, and it's being met with like likes and retweets and verification and all of that. And listen, I am one who regularly online will make the jokes of like, I'm gonna jump out the window. I'm going to kill myself. Like that is my type of humor. I threaten that shit every day. I feel like a lot of Gen Z people, I feel like a lot of us do that. I feel like there was a period of time in the 2010s where that was like inappropriate, and we all stopped because people were mad about it, and then we all kind of started again. This is where we are now. And like, if my tweet got removed for saying that, which I think actually I've had an Instagram story removed for saying that before, I would laugh, because that's so funny, because I'm joking. I know that I'm joking. And I don't know the context of this top one. I don't know if this is based off of a real story or whatever, but like objectively, it is joking about like self-harm and suicide, which I understand why it might not be friendly on like the internet, you know? I understand why that might be violating a guideline, and that's chill, whatever. The bottom one, however, getting top surgery and showing off your scars, is actually the complete opposite of that. And I know that these people like refuse to understand this no matter how many times we say it, but undergoing a procedure consensually to help better your mental health is actually not self-harm, believe it or not. Like, these people have given their full consent. They've put in a lot of like time that they've had to like wait for it. They had to go through a bunch of appointments, book it in, wait the time. A lot of people have spent a lot of money, like thousands upon thousands of dollars to get this done. And if they haven't, then they've waited like years on a waiting list. So I promise you, they are absolutely certain this is something that they want to do. And a lot of the time undergoing this procedure is helping their physical health as well as their mental health, because like a lot of them will be binding, which, you know, is uncomfortable. Especially during like summer months, and can be quite dangerous. Whereas this is like helping that not happen, for the most part, is making a lot of people's lives a lot better and is actually preventing self-harm and suicide. So just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's a negative thing. It's not promoting self-harm. It's actually just promoting living as your true self and, you know, doing what makes you happy. And I know you hate people being happy, and I know you envy people who are able to do things for themselves and like live a life that they enjoy, because you have put yourself in a box that you won't let yourself leave, but like that's your problem. This next post was captioned with "Every time I see someone wear a mask in 2025." It is someone at a grocery shop with a baby and they're wearing a mask. Another person with like a trolley says, "Excuse me, you forgot your bag." And she says, "Oh, sorry," and then puts a plastic bag over her face and like tightens it around her neck and says, "It feels so natural. Sometimes I forget I don't have it on." And then she like passes out and dies on the street while her baby is left behind in a cart. And what an exaggeration this is. Oh my god. I just don't understand why you care. Imagine being so mad at seeing someone wear a mask that you go and make a comment about how stupid they are and how it's like suffocating them and they're gonna die. Like, whoa. How is it any of your concern what other people do? Like, for one thing, wearing masks didn't start during COVID. Masks have been a thing for a long time. I grew up seeing people wearing masks all the time. Like even outside, people just wear masks. It helps with pollution for one. And also it genuinely does help stop you from being sick. Like I remember in 2020 when everyone was wearing masks and everyone was being like, I haven't gotten sick this year. I haven't gotten the flu. I haven't gotten a cold. And some people, believe it or not, don't want to get sick. Some people can't afford to get sick for a number of different reasons. One, maybe they don't have the time. Two, maybe they just, I don't know, don't enjoy being sick. And three, some people are just like vulnerable. There are people with autoimmune diseases. There are people who are more susceptible to illness and can be very negatively impacted by it. Some people just get sick and they get sick really bad and they don't want to do that. They don't want to risk it. So they wear a mask. And believe it or not, it has absolutely nothing to do with you. Them wearing a mask isn't forcing you to do the same. If you don't want to, fucking fine. Don't. Most people don't. But like, why are you out here hating on someone who does? And then you're gonna sit here and call them like a stupid snowflake? Like giving into government propaganda or anything when the government doesn't give a fuck anymore. And like, they're out here not even telling you to wear a mask anymore. They're just living their life and doing what is best for them. And you're making it your business for no reason. So I would argue you are the snowflake. If you are like neurotypical and able-bodied and you wear a mask and feel like you are suffocating to death, I think you have a problem and you should go check that out, because like that is not normal. Here we're moving into a different comic artist again called Wokely Correct, and we've gone back to a more simplistic style of art. Here we have a person with blue hair and my haircut, because of course they do, with like big glasses, and she is like, I wouldn't say she's fat, but she's not like thin. And she is saying, "Do you agree with every one of my political views?" And the person she's talking to is a woman who is like slim and wearing a nice dress, and she has long blonde hair and big eyes, because of course she does. And she says, "We have to agree on everything." And the blue-haired woman then pulls the finger at her and yells, "Bye, you closed-minded far-right extremist." I love the way they portray this. Like, no, we don't have to agree on absolutely everything. There are some small things that maybe are a little bit inconsequential. However, if the thing we are disagreeing on is the fact that like you don't think I should be able to get married, or you don't think I should have bodily autonomy, then yeah, we're gonna have a problem. Like, why would I want to be friends with someone or interact with someone who doesn't view people as equal, who doesn't think everyone deserves the same rights and respect? Like, that's not a minor disagreement. I don't have any desire to associate with people who don't think I should exist the way I am and have full control over my body and the same legal rights as another person or the same social rights as another person. If we disagree on that, then yeah, fuck off. I can't say that everyone is like a far-right extremist, because there are obviously varying degrees of that, and I don't want to, like, you know, dilute that term, but I don't want to associate with you. And, you know, if you're so against my right to exist and marry who I want, why do you want to associate with me either? I'm not going to be your, like, token gay to be like, I don't hate gay people, I just don't think they should get married. Fuck off. We can disagree on pizza toppings. We can disagree on our favorite colors, our favorite movies, whatever. That's fine. You disagree on my rights as a human being, or anyone's. It doesn't have to be my personal rights. If you disagree on like any level of like oppression, it's not gonna work out. Here we have live from a courthouse being broadcast on a giant billboard for some reason, saying, "Trump, you guilty AF." Libs, all with blue hair, obviously, gotta love those blue-haired liberals, are then all celebrating. But in the next panel, the judge is carrying on, and he actually says, "Your ass will serve 4 years in the White House." And the blue-haired liberals all stop celebrating and start sweating. I don't understand how we're using this as a flex. Why are you here flexing the fact that you voted for a convicted felon? Why are you flexing the fact that the person who runs your country is a literal criminal? That's such a weird thing to flex. I don't understand how he's able to be president. Like, I don't understand how he was able to run. I really don't understand how he got the popular vote. And it's completely absurd to me that he can be president when he wouldn't have even been allowed to vote because he is a convicted felon. Like, that's something got real fucked up somewhere. And now we move into another artist. I believe this might be the last artist that I found, and they're called Ford Cartoons. And this one's two men who go, "You wanted to see us, boss?" And he says, "Yes, people are mad at us for your headline. A car has driven into a group of people at a Christmas market in Germany." And they say, "But sir, why are you mad at us?" "Yeah, we didn't write that, our computers did." This is so stupid, because once again, gun nuts are like so clueless and so stupid and like willfully ignorant. It's hilarious, because obviously this is like, you know, commentary on the whole argument of like us being like, we should ban guns because, you know, people are killing people with guns, and there are thousands of preventable deaths if we just, you know, got stricter gun laws and made it harder for people to obtain them, like the entire rest of the world, you know? And then you have them being like, but it's not the guns that are the problem, it's the people with the guns. The guns don't hurt people, people who pull the triggers do. And if they didn't have guns, they would just kill people anyway in another method, which is not true. It's not true at all, because, you know, there's the fact that guns kill quicker, they work much faster, they require less thought, less planning, they have less of a human connection. Like, you can do that, like you can kill someone from across the room without having to like look into their eyes or think twice about it. It does a lot more damage a lot quicker, etc. There are so many reasons why. Like, if you look at like the homicide numbers in like the UK versus the States, there's a bit of a difference there, you know? But anyway, back into this, I find it so funny because like, even in this analogy, it is still proving our point. You could get rid of computers in this situation, right? And you know what would have happened is that the article would have taken longer to write, and it would have been harder to distribute, and it would have reached less people in a much longer amount of time. And I think that summarizes it really nicely, don't you think? Kind of like what I just said. If you have like a firearm versus like, I don't know, a knife, one of them is going to do a lot more damage a lot faster. You wrote the article, correct. But different methods are going to cause varying levels of harm. The difference here though is that like guns' only purpose is to hurt, is to kill, as established earlier, and it only does negative things. I literally cannot think of a single positive for guns, like not a single one comes to mind, whereas computers are incredibly beneficial. They actually do a lot more help than harm. They have really helped move society along, and they help get information out there, etc. Yes, sure, some people misuse them, and maybe some people should have less access to computers because they can cause harm. However, they are also incredibly beneficial. So we aren't going to ban computers. Really simple. It's really simple. And the fact that these people just like try to pretend they understand what's going on and they think they're making good points when they are really not is quite amusing. Here are two men having a conversation. It is illogical to believe in God. Then where did everything come from? What do you mean? There was once nothing. Emptiness. Zero existence. Since there was once nothing, there should never be anything. What can come from nothing? Nothing can come from nothing. But now there is everything. The entire universe. Things cannot just pop into existence. There has to be a cause. Sure, it seems like there must have been a cause. And logically, the cause must transcend the space-time universe and be itself uncaused and unbelievably powerful. The only logical cause is God, but I refuse to accept that because it would be illogical. This argument is illogical. In this scenario, God still makes no sense to me. Where did God come from? Like, it's like he always was. He always existed. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Everything has to start somewhere. This is something that hurts my brain so much, so I don't try to think about it. I started thinking about like the existence of the universe and like nothing when I was a kid. It's literally where my anxiety started. So I'm not gonna get too into it or I'll give myself an existential crisis. However, like, yeah, it doesn't make sense. You're so right. How does nothing exist? I don't know. I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable to think about there was nothing and then there was something. I hate it. I understand why maybe some people, that's why they kind of like, you know, believe in a God, because it's terrifying to think that there was nothing, because it means, again, one day maybe there will be nothing. I don't know. It makes no sense. None of it makes sense. But to me as well, a God also makes no sense. It makes less sense, actually, because like, where did God come from? Where did God come from? Because it was nothing and then there was God and then there was something. Like, how did something exist? You know, I don't know how to word it. I don't know how to get into it because none of it makes sense. It confuses my brain and then I spiral. So I'm just not going to think about it. All I'll say is that God doesn't make sense in this scenario to me either, because it brings up the exact same question. So, you know, and also like, does God look over the entire universe? I like have so many questions about religion because it's so focused just on Earth. You know what I mean? Like, does that mean, you know, if God is so focused on Earth and all these like people, I don't know what religions this expands into and how they all view God, but I'll use Christianity since this is a Christian comic. Does this mean like Christians don't believe in aliens? Because God only focused on Earth? Do they believe in the universe outside of like our Milky Way? Is like there multiple gods and they all look over their own galaxy? Does God have like helpers anywhere? Does each planet with life have its own God? I have questions that I've never heard discussed before because they're so focused on God and humanity that I don't know anything about God and anything else. So if you are religious of any sort, please let me know how God deals with just like the universe in general and like other life forms on other planets, because I'm very curious about it. Daddy, why did you vote for Kamala? Oh, I did it for you, my sweet angel, for your rights. So one day you could be free to sleep with as many random losers as you want without any consequences. I'm sorry, what? That was her at the end, by the way. The child, not me. Although I am asking the same question. Maybe in a different tone, but I am asking the same question because what? Like, truly baffling. Oh, there's another version actually with her mother as well of, "Mommy, why did you vote for Kamala?" "Oh, I did it for you, sweet daughter, so one day you could be free to kill your unborn children." I'm sorry, what? So I'm glad mother and father both have different, equally ridiculous reasons. And I just find it so funny because, like, this is coming from the person who, or the people who voted for a convicted felon for committing, like, sexual crimes to multiple women. And I am almost certain at some point will have gotten a woman pregnant and then paid her off to get an abortion. Probably multiple times, honestly, because that is something these rich men do quite a fair amount. And, like, you voted for him. Because he's an exception to the rule, right? It's so funny how they just justify it. Like, I don't understand how we're justifying this at all and how these reasonings make sense. Like, why is it okay for you to vote for a man who sleeps around and has a lot of sexual partners, but you're upset at the prospect of a woman being allowed to have sexual partners? Why are you already, like, thinking about the sex life of your small child? That's incredibly odd of you. In general, though, I think that these are valid things to want to happen. Like, I don't think you should face consequences for sleeping with people that you want to. And I don't think you should face consequences for having the right to choose what happens to your body. I think those are valid things to be voting for. Are you implying that, like, not only is Trump wanting to take away abortion rights, but also will punish women for having casual sex? What about the random losers? Are they going to face consequences as well? Like, I'm incredibly confused by this take. So, like, what are you talking about? 30 years ago, the Bible is the word of God and I believe what it says. Me too, brother. 15 years ago, the Bible is the word of God and I believe what it says. Whatever. Today, the Bible is the word of God and I believe what it says. Bigot. How long? The Bible is the word of God and I believe what it says. And a police officer is accusing him of hate speech. Next up on the list of made up bullshit by conservatives. 60% of your country, 60% of the US is Christian. And the 60% that are Christian include the people who are running your country. Like, the Democratic leaders are also Christian. I don't think they're going to make it hate speech to talk about religion. And believe it or not, a lot of people who are liberal or leftists are also religious. They just don't use it to hate people. They actually use it just to apply to themselves and to have faith and have someone, like, guide them. They use it because it's what empowers them and what makes them comfortable and happy. They don't use it to be a bigoted asshole and to hate people and to try to strip their rights like you do. So I need you to shut up because this is not accurate at all. I don't understand why so many of these right-wing conservatives choose to believe that, like, no one is Christian anymore when it is still a majority of your country. I promise there is not going to be a time where you are accused of hate speech for just saying that you're Christian. I will say it's really fucking annoying when you go up to random people and are like, the Bible is the word of God, will you join? Like, that's fucking annoying. I'm not gonna call it hate speech, but I'll call it shut up and leave me alone. If you are using the Bible to actively speak hatred and spew hatred and bigotry, then yeah, that is hate speech. So maybe just, like, focus on yourself and don't use your religion to bring other people down and we won't have a problem. These comics are always so entertaining. I've never done a video where I, like, talk about multiple different comic artists, but I had quite a good time. So if you want to see more conservative comic artists, then let me know and I will make another one of these. They have so much art. I pulled all of these from, like, these are just things they've posted over the past month. They post so much. Some of them, like, multiple times a day. I don't know where they find the time. And if you have any other suggestions for any other conservative comic artists or just conservative artists in general, please do comment down below and let me know because I would love to look into them and share that with you so we can suffer and laugh together. If you did enjoy this video, please do not forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. My videos have been really held back in the algorithm recently, so if you interact and like and comment, that would like genuinely mean so much. And over 50% of you are regular viewers who watch most of the videos I put out but are not subscribed. So you might think that you are, but if you check right now, there is a 50% chance that you aren't. So please do check and hit subscribe if you aren't already, and click the notification bell so you don't miss any more of my videos. I am hoping to get 500k subscribers by the end of the year, and I would appreciate you helping me to make that happen. A massive thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons: M.A. Ping the Games, Blue Kitsune 24, Ash, Uh-Oh It's Craiglow, Phil the Duck, Jessie, Phenomenally, River, Mr. Noodle, Queen Glimmer, Ella, Lady Nutbar, Radsack, Knitting Menace, Chris, Ellie, and Bobby. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for joining. If anyone else would like to become a patron, you go to patreon.com/savvycat. For only £1 a month, you get my videos a day or more early and ad-free. And then for £3 and up, you get things such as outtakes, bonus mini podcasts, live streams, vlogs, friendship bracelets, and more. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah. When you close your eyes.